Okay, it's time for us to set up the artistic side of our battery system. I do want to mention something real quick though. I think in the last video I said that our character's glow was oscillating. That is actually incorrect. What it is eye adaptation. As we look up into the darker sky or we get away from the darker sky, that's just changing how much he seems to be glowing based on what pixels are on the screen. So anyway, let's go ahead and not worry about modeling and texturing and doing all that kind of stuff for batteries. We're going to pull some stuff out of the content examples project because everybody should have access to that. If you haven't yet downloaded it from the launcher, you should because it's really good. Let's just go to File, Recent Projects. Actually, let's do a really quick Save All just to be on the safe side. And then we'll hit Recent Projects. There's content examples. If it's not, you'll just have to go to File, Open. You can open it from there, of course. And yes, we want to restart the editor. We'll give this a moment to...
I may have been in there earlier picking out the battery I wanted.
Yeah, that might have happened. And we'll let this load in, and boom, we're here. Awesome. So let's just stay up here in the game, and let's just search for battery and see what we find. So there's the blueprints. We don't want the blueprints. We want the static meshes. So there's SM battery, small, medium, and big. I imagine you want the big one. So let's right-click, and I'm just going to migrate that. Now, can you tell me how to get to our project?
Yeah, so it's in Unreal Projects there, tutorial code, and then content.
Oh, it's already visible. It's almost like we've done this before. So let's go ahead and click OK, and that migrates that. Boom, looks good. And then I know there's a lightning bolt in here that I want to use, so I'm just going to search for electricity, and there it is. So there's P electricity arc, so we're going to use this as opposed to building a beam emitter from scratch, so we can keep things a little more focused. So we'll do the same thing, right click, and we'll migrate, and click OK, and same thing, just put it right there in the content folder, boom, there we go, migrated successfully. Right back to File, Recent Projects, and Tutorial Code. Yes, continue switching projects.
Ready to go.
We are ready to go.
Lots of other good assets you could migrate in that project for other pickups, like cupcakes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. I think what we need to do now is probably just establish the main blueprint for our battery. Yes. So let's go under Blueprints, and we'll click New, make a blueprint, and it probably needs to be from your custom class, correct?
Yeah, the battery pickup class.
Okay, so I'm just going to search for battery. And boom, there we go, and we'll select that. And what do you want to call this? Do you have a name you want to use?
BP_battery blueprint.
Now, is that name important?
You can name it pretty much anything. That's just my particular naming preference.
Okay. So we'll open this up, and we need to, oh, pickup mesh is already here, so we just need to populate this with something. All right, so let's see, if we just click down here, we should be able to search for battery. There it is, blam. And we probably ought to consider collision for this as well. So in terms of your game, just going like way out on a limb, you probably want this to block everything, but for the player, you just want an overlap event?
Right, so the character has that big collection sphere around it that we set up earlier, and so that's going to be dynamic, moving through the world, and we want it to overlap our battery.
Okay, so we'll just take world dynamic and tell that to overlap and leave everything else at block.
Yes.
And I did that by setting the collision presets over to custom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that all you needed?
Well, for it to collide, we actually have to go ahead and give collision to the static mesh.
It didn't have collision, that's amazing. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve that. So compile, and we'll save this, and let's see, if we just grab the pickup mesh, I should be able to come up here, double click it, open it up in here, and let's just play with our collision settings. So, oh yeah, it didn't have collision, that's awesome. So let's see, 6-stop is really simple. Do you want it more complex than that?
A little bit more complex. I don't want it to just be sitting on its side when it's rounded.
How about that?
Oh, that looks much better.
Okay,
yeah.
that'll at least let it roll around a little bit. Okay, so that's fine. So we can save that. And that should be pretty good in terms of setup. Is there anything else that you can think of that we need to set up before we start getting into behaviors?
You know, I feel like I remember that electricity being really bright before that. Should we probably work on that?
You know, we probably should, but let's get it into the level and then we can do artistic tweaks after it's established. All right, then with that, I think we're all set for our components. So we'll start constructing the graph for behavior in the next video. Thanks.